got 3 good days in the bye week. We went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, full out all practice and in pads every day. And so, kind of used some time for us to clean up some things at this point in the season that we thought were hurting us. Whatever that is, whether it's, certain coverage techniques on defense, run fits on defense, offensively being able to work on some stuff schematically, that we're doing in the run game right now, screen some pass pro, figure out, what's our best five for the offensive line. I mean, just kind of trying to fix some issues as we went through self scout last week and try to get some of those organized. And then at the same time, I think being able to face, an offense like Army is something that's always a challenge. And so, anytime you play the triple option, I think, I think these service academies have done a fantastic job the last couple years of kind of really revolutionizing kind of what they're doing, and they've added new developments into their offensive scheme, and so it's not all just triple. It looks like triple a ton of time, but there's a bunch of quarterback power run game that's mixed in there. There's a bunch of really cool, play action shots off of 4 verticals and stuff, and so I think they've kind of revolutionized this offense and put a new twist on it. So it's obviously giving people fits the first 8 or 9 weeks of the year. And so yeah, it was kind of mixed on us fixing some issues of our own and getting better ourselves with trying to get a week ahead, understanding what you face on that side. Army on the defensive side of the ball is obviously statistically one of the best defenses in the nation, and so they'll give us a ton of problems, but it's not schematically so different per se. But I think number one, they're really good at stopping the run on the defensive side of the ball. One of the best in the nation, and just total defense is really good. And so a group that's disciplined, hasn't really faced anybody quite like us yet, just our scheme and what we do offensively. But they do present a problem in rushing the passer. I mean, I think they got one of the conference best pass rushers at edge that's been able to sack the quarterback a ton this year. And so yeah, it'll be obviously a huge challenge anytime you're playing a team that's 8-0 and been able to do what they've done both offensively and defensively for the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yeah, you obviously had some guys that were banged up heading into that bye week. What's your injury situation going into this week?
Yeah, we're getting better. We're getting better. I think Jaden Hill's back in full go for us at the safety position, which will be really good for us. We got a couple of we got Scott back on the defensive line, who's playing and been out a couple weeks for us now. Being able to get the offensive line guys back healthy. I mean, we got 17 of them back working out now, which has been good for us. D Ward continues to get better. It has been kind of a boost of confidence for us out there at the outside receiver spot. And so, yeah, I mean, Akaika Ragsdale's close to getting back. He's back in practice now and is working towards kind of getting in shape right now for us. Zach Evans is back in practice, working to get back into shape. It's just kind of that fine line of getting them ready to actually play these games. I mean, these full speed game reps. And so getting those guys back, and we're a lot more healthy than what we were 2.5 weeks ago.
Speaking of injuries, probably the area of intrigue heading into this game is the status of the quarterback, Bryson Daly. What do you guys know, and how do you prepare when you don't know?
Yeah, so I think Bryson is obviously an older guy, a guy that I know really well from Abernathy. That was one of our rivals where I grew up in Shallwater. We recruited the heck out of him in Incarnate Word. Thought we were going to get him to come to Incarnate Word to play linebacker for us. Was a two-way guy in high school. He was exactly what you see on tape right now. I mean, he's smart, he's tough, he's gritty. I think he kind of makes him go, and to watch him as a runner this year has been just nothing short of amazing. And so he's a tough kid. We got to prepare for both. Just knowing it, I think it changes a little bit what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball. Just from the fact that he's such a strong inside the tackle runner. You can do so many things for him. He's really gotten better at throwing the football down the field. Some of his accuracy's increased, and anytime they can establish a run game and then get the play action behind you is a big deal for him. And so yeah, and just from a sheer size standpoint, I mean, seeing what he he's able to do and some of the strong running that he's done. You know, he's a kid that's 220 pounds and he's kind of built for it. You know, the next guy up, you know, is 190 pounds and a little bit more, you know, not he's just a smaller guy that they want to change the game plan and is a little bit more electric, you know, on the perimeter. And so it's just something, I mean, we're going to have to prepare for both. We got, you know, tape of both, and that doesn't make it easy by any stretch of the imagination. I think teams have had trouble figuring them out all year, and so it'll be a huge test for us this Saturday.
And how is y'all's offense just planning to use tempo and pace to your advantage against a disciplined defense like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think just sprinkling it in from time to time. I mean, obviously, I think we're able to do some things just to get our playmakers the ball in space, which helps us, you know, being able to change up formations and stuff. And two, this is a game too. You just got to be mindful of your possessions. And Army obviously has done a great job of time of possession and slowing the game down and really utilizing. So it's something that you got to be mindful, and we got to have good plays like executing and being in the right play is more important than tempo at times against these guys, just because anytime, you know, you don't want to play from behind knowing that your opportunities are going to be limited. You know, they've limited some of their opponents to eight or so opportunities to possess the football. And so, and just important too for us to be able to get off the field on third downs and understanding with this scheme, you know, them being able to go for it on fourth and shorts they're comfortable with. And so, you know, anytime we can get them off schedule will be big for us.
Just what adjustments, if any, are you planning defensively to counter Army's triple option?
Yeah, I mean, people have tried both. People played 3 down, people played 4 down, and you know, it's just one of those things with I don't want to say it's an outlier, but it's just so unique in being able to you know, have the discipline and the trust of reading your keys and some true triple option football, and it's something that you know, when it's executed the right way, I mean, it's such a, you know, it's like an art form out there. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and so, you know, it's always, you know, really intrigued me, this offense. And I think, you know, Mike Leach used to always talk about the triple and getting the ball to different spaces on the field, making them cover the whole entire field. So we do have some of the same philosophies in that realm. But, you know, they just kind of play by their rules. And, you know, if you're going to play 3 down, they're going to have rules. If you're going to play 4 down, they're going to have rules. And they're used to seeing it. So I think it's not as much, you know, you coming up with a unique counter to what they're good at, just because you got to be good in so many different areas, because they'll capitalize and you know, they'll run it up the gut, they'll pull it, run it with the quarterback, they'll pull it, pitch it, they'll pull it and run play action and hit you over the head. So there's just so many intricacies within the detail of the way they run the system.
Army's only turned the ball over offensively once this year. It's first in the country. You know, y'all have been struggling a little bit to create turnovers defensively. What's the emphasis on that and trying to stop them? And like you said, get them off the field on third downs.
Yeah, it's always a big deal, you know, and it's something that, you know, I think just as a coach, you're always searching for answers and new ways to emphasize certain things. And so, you know, during the course of the bye week and then even today, we'll continue. You know, we've done a offense versus defense ball security circuit that we're going to continue to do, that they're emphasizing on finding ways to get turnovers. And we're emphasizing how important that dang football is for us, right? And I think, you know, the last 2 games and these tight ones, you know, turnovers have been a huge deal in both of them, and we've lost the turnover margin in those 2 games. And so, yeah, just especially with this team and your limited possessions, I think, you know, ball security on the offensive side of the ball is just a premium. And then defensively, anytime you can steal one from a team like this that you know, prides itself on ball handling and not allowing to give the opponent an advantage in any way will be key. And then I think too, just transitioning the ball on special teams is going to be a big deal. You know, when someone does break here or there, which will happen in this game, being able to really utilize our punt unit has been fantastic all year. I mean, we're one of the top punt units in the nation as far as not allowing any yardage on that. And so being able to continue that and when need be to flip the field and make them, you know, go and drive the whole entire field will be huge for us.
As of today, there's still a good possibility of rain on Saturday. Has there been any special prep for that, possibly on either side of the ball?
Yeah, we've had some rain, and so we'll get some wet ball stuff during the course of this week, just like we did during the course of Florida Atlantic week, and planning for that. And so hopefully, it keeps getting lower later in the afternoon, so it looks to be getting better and better. But you never know when it's going to pop up. This is Texas in November. Nobody knows, can predict the weather around here, and so yeah, I mean, it's an intriguing, thought, in my opinion. Just both teams, I think, are really good at handling the football in a unique, different way. And so, I think anytime, I don't think either team really would want to play in rain if we could vote on it right now. But just like we're such a ball handling team, and Chandler does such a phenomenal job at getting the ball out in space and using misdirection and motions instead, they're equally as subject to not wanting to be playing in the rain and pitching the football and the triple option and all those things. And so yeah, I mean, I think it'll kind of be a mute thing. Both teams will have to deal with it, just like they did in Florida Atlantic, but we'll work some wet ball drills like we normally do.
Yeah, and this game is shaping up to be possibly one of the biggest crowds of the year. A lot of sections have been sold out, already announced by UNT. How do you feel like the crowd will kind of help you all against this type of team in Army?
Yeah, I think, you see it all over college football and the atmospheres, and you get in these key moments and key situations, and having a loud crowd and being able to communicate at a high level with and especially, when we have the ball, hopefully we're not screaming that loud. Hopefully that when they have the ball, that we're making it tough for them to communicate at a high level. And so yeah, I mean, I thought our last crowd was great, and just like I said last time, like we got to come out and perform and give them some of these things to cheer about and execute at a high level, and be able to find a way to make this game a great ball game to keep them in the seats the third and fourth quarter.
When you're playing a unique team like Army, did the off week really help you to have some extra time to prepare for this team?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you're able to just get the repetition, I think football is such a repetition game, and so anytime you're able to steal those reps, and not only that, but it's hard to mimic. I think that's one thing unique about our offense and their offense. I think it's really hard to mimic with scout teams during the course of a week preparing for it. So not only, did I think that it was good for our defense, but it was also good for our scout team to get an extra week of being able to really learn the intricacies of what they're doing, and really get better at executing these motions and pitches and timing of everything. And so, yeah, I think that's one thing that when you face their offense, although they're unique in their own way, I really think it's hard to be able to get the course of 3 practices in the week and really give your team a good look with a good scout team executing at a high level.
Chandler doing okay after kind
Yeah,
getting
yeah, he's
a
been
little bit?
fantastic. Gave him a little time off on early in the week last week, just to kind of let him heal up. I mean, he could have easily played this week. He practiced every day. We just tried to take some throws off of his arm, and he has nothing that's hurting right now, and he's had a fantastic week.
Yeah, you have a ranked team at home here, which is something that doesn't happen often around here. Is this a big opportunity for you guys just as a program to have a ranked team at home?
Yeah, I think anytime, this is a team that's won every game they played in, they're statistically sound in pretty much every category. There's a reason. I think they have a lot of older guys, and some guy. I mean, you have a guy like Bryson Daly leading your program that's been around that program for so long and has been so dang good with them the last couple of years. They got some guys on defense that I think are really good. Another guy, their free safety, Max, is a guy from San Antonio that we recruited in Incarnate Word too, played quarterback in high school. And so some of these kids are tough, hard-nosed kids that I think force issues because they don't just seem to make many mistakes during the game, so they kind of make you earn everything, and that presents a unique challenge for us. But yeah, I mean, anytime you can play a top 25 team at your place, I mean, I think you should be licking your chops and wanting to go compete at the highest level.
Yeah, you mentioned you recruited a couple of these guys. You just did you have some relationships with these guys over time?
Yeah, just super proud of them, and too, just I think with Daly's dad being a coach, at Abernathy, Texas. My dad was a coach at Shallow Water, and just watching a kid from a small town in West Texas, not easy to get recruited. I mean, I think a lot of people probably passed up on that kid, and too, I still think right now, I think if he was a Power Five big time school playing, Mike or outside linebacker, I think he'd be having the same success just because he's kind of wired that way. And that was one thing we saw in recruiting him. And just he came from a great family. He was super tough, committed to the game, to learning the game. And so super proud of him and what he's made. He comes from a great family. And so, it's just fun to watch, kids that are sometimes overlooked go and have great success somewhere and play at the level they are right now.
You mentioned that guys that where they're recruited in high school. Rod was actually committed to Army for a while, which I'm sure you know. And so, has that come up this week? Has he talked a little bit about that background?
No, not much. We talked about it in the past a little bit, and I think just knowing Rod, it was something important for him to stay a little closer to home by family, so they could be a part of watching him. He has a great family with his following. See him with all their shirts on in the crowd and screaming every week. So I think for him to have that experience with his family was a big decision in it.
Yeah, and obviously he'll play a big part in your guys' efforts to slow down a run-based team. I mean, how important has he been for you guys this season, and how important will he be this week?
Yeah, anytime you're in the middle of the defense, and especially here, I mean, I think it all starts in the middle, and they want to work from the inside out. And so if you're not able to secure everything up the middle, they'll continue to do it and control the clock, and it'll open up the outside. So, yeah, I mean, I think Rod and along with some other guys, us being, really good in the trenches, I think on both sides, is going to be super important. I think this is a team that's really good up front on both sides of the football. And so I think that'll be a huge matchup for the game.
Coach, you kind of talked about it already, but I wanted to ask you your thoughts about how unique this matchup is between your high-powered passing offense versus this high-powered rushing offense. Just how often can you get this matchup like this with two nationally statistically ranked teams, and just play two drastically different styles of football?
Yeah, I think it's fun for people to watch, and too, I think it's to be able to do it at a high level is what I talked about earlier. It's just almost like artwork out there. And so I think we're trying to accomplish the same thing and get the ball in so many different spaces. And a bunch of that is it creates, if you don't have great eye discipline on either side of the football, it's going to create issues for you. And I think, we just do it a little bit more by throwing it down the field. And they do it a little bit more by running it and getting you up in unique ways, and then using that to throw it over your head. And so although it's organized in a different way and the schematics of it are a little bit different, I think the overall emphasis and point of it is to trick the defense's eyes and get you to ultimately have that football in space, which you're going to have a great advantage once you do get it out there. And so, yeah, it's intriguing to me. And I honestly, I want to learn this offense at some point in my career. I've been around, so many guys that have taught me, from the air raid to incorporating a little bit of run game into the air raid and playing with some tight ends, some great mentors. But it's always intrigued me just how different they are. But the end result is really similar of getting the ball in space to a multitude of different people.
And you mentioned earlier that you kind of spent the bye week kind of working on trying to find that starting five for the offensive line. Just any new updates on that regard?
No, I mean, I think, for us to just be able to find who's most comfortable at every position. I think Jet's a Swiss Army knife for us, has played all those different positions. We've moved Braden around a couple times, who's a true freshman that you want to really get him in a spot and let him sink in and focus on that. And then, Tyler Mercer's a guy that's continued to come along as a true freshman. You got Lecce that's played a ton for us. Landon Peterson, other than when he was out with an injury for a couple weeks, has been really solid with us. So we've just kind of moved some stuff around during the course of last week, and then tried to be really consistent of the five that we've come up with and be able to get them on the same page to play well together.
You mentioned a couple guys that are returning from injury. I wanted to check up on Demaja Harris as well.
No, he'll be out for the season.
Gotcha.
Demajo's out for the season.
And then finally, and, in the aftermath of these kind of last couple of games, there's been some outpour from some fans who have, sort of blamed Coach Capone for the team's defensive struggles. I wanted to give you an opportunity to, kind of respond to that kind of narrative or so.
No, I mean, I think playing college football is extremely hard right now, and there's so many different levels to it. And so, I think that anytime that's the first thing that's going to come to mind at any point. And I think really being able to dive into it and dig into it. And two, Coach Capone has been fantastic since he's been here. I mean, nobody works harder in this building. And he'd be the first guy to say right now, has he gotten the results that he wanted the last couple of weeks? Absolutely not. And so I think that it's really important that as we're into this, we realize what we do good right now and what's really hurt us. And I think last week gave us a chance to really go back and do it. But at the same time, I've been a part of all kinds of crazy things and switches in the middle of the season. And, I think those things are hard for a multitude of different reasons. So no, I think that, our first core value around here is trust. And obviously, this is a highly scrutinized position that we're in, and that starts with me, right? And I take great pride after every season going back and really digging into finding out, there's so much thing with your scheme versus your personnel, and so we'll do that too at the end of every season. Like, that's my job here, and right now, and he'd be the first guy to say his job's to find a way to stop the run first and foremost, and we haven't done that good enough, and so that's nothing. I'm not shying away from it. He wouldn't shy away from it. Is it where we need to be? Absolutely not. And at the end of the day, we got to find a way to do better.
Yeah, just to finish up here, I wanted to ask you, Damon Ward's kind of coming towards the end here, and he's really moved up on the career receptions list, receiving yards, things like that. What has his contribution been to this program over your time here?
Yeah, I just always love the human even more than the player. Obviously, we're a different team when he's out there. The one thing that I hate for him is he's had so many injuries and he's had to battle through so many things. It just seems like year in, year out, but his attitude, he's one of the best teammates in this building. Even when he's been banged up, whether it's last year for a couple weeks, whether last year he wasn't starting, whatever it's been, he's always been positive. He's never been an ego guy. He loves the football in his hands. He wants to go make plays for you, and has the it factor. But I've just always been impressed by the way he handles himself and then deals with his teammate and never has an excuse for anything, continues to work for the right reason. So super proud of that kid.
Yeah, is he just the kind of guy you need in a program?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could coach him for many more years, and so I think he really brings the unit together. I think he's definitely the leader of that whole entire receiver unit, and it's not even close. And I think that's something. And even when he didn't play, I mean, a bunch of times when people are hurt and they can't go, I decide I usually don't travel anybody, but I've brought him on all the trips with us, just because he's a sounding board. I think he gives those guys confidence. He's able to be a coach on the field. And I think he's good for our team on so many different levels.
Yeah, and just to finish up here, and Rod seems like he's kind of in that same vein, somebody that's, that's kind of set the tone for your guys' defense. Is he somebody that's set a good example for the rest of this team?
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, Rod's growth over the course of the last couple of years and grow into a leadership role and become somebody that we can count on so many different levels, as opposed to just being a nose guard and shut down in the middle. But being someone that really took over the weight room this summer, helped a bunch of these young guys or transfers that we're bringing in to bring them up to speed. So, it's been fun to watch Rod kind of blossom into a leadership role. I don't think his leadership qualities were great when we first got here, and he's kind of stepped out of his comfort zone and become a really effective leader for us.
How did that help you guys as a program as you prepare for this game against Army?
It's big. I mean, having a week to kind of go back to the basics, start working on fundamentals that we might have gotten away from throughout the stretch of the season, and obviously getting people back healthy. I think it came at the right time, getting ready to finish off the season.
Yeah, Army comes in playing really well defensively. What do you see in Army and what makes them so good defensively?
I mean, they play play a base front, base defense, but they do it all out. I mean, they start fast, they play hard, they're relentless, and you just don't see them. I mean, they're very fundamentally sound. They're in the right spots. They're just well coached all around.
Yeah, limited possessions typically against a team like Army. Does that increase the importance of just every time you have the ball to do something with it, considering you may only get it a few times in a game
Yeah, I
like
mean, we
this?
expect to score every time we get the ball.
And it seems like mistakes are very important to avoid in a game like this. You know, just a turnover here or there could really possibly sink you. Is that something you guys think about going into this game?
No, we just think about going in, doing our job, focusing on the fundamentals, the game plan that's going in that week, and just making sure that we execute it to the best of our ability.
And Landon, how has practice been this week with a ranked opponent coming to town, and just what's the energy been like?
It's been good. I mean, we look at them as a faceless opponent. I mean, we don't fall into the whole hype train of who they are. I mean, obviously they're a good football team. We're a good football team. And at the end of the day, it's just go out there and execute your job and play ball.
And with Army just allowing just over 11 points per game this year, just how important is it for y'all's offense to just maintain consistency and execution on Saturday?
I mean, it's key. I mean, every time we get the ball, we got to take advantage of it. We have to, like you said, we got to execute. We got to make sure we're doing our job and falling back on what we're being coached every single day. And I feel like the coaches have put in a good game plan for us to be able to go out there and have success.
Protecting Chandler has been one of the biggest things this year, of course, with injuries. How do you feel like y'all have prepped for that, especially going against a really good defense in Army?
I feel like we've emphasized it for sure. I mean, y'all know who Chandler is. Y'all know what type of player he is. He's the soul of the offense, in my opinion. And I feel like if we keep him up and keep him not rattled and just give him time back there, I mean, he can dice any defense up in the country.
And, of course, there's a little possibility of rain on Saturday. Have y'all kind of prepped for that possibility, and how do you think that's going to affect y'all offensively if it does happen?
I mean, I don't think it'll affect anything. I mean, y'all saw FAU. I mean, it was rain. I mean, it was pouring out there, and we threw the ball 40-plus times. I mean, I don't think it's going to change nothing.
Big opportunity to have a ranked team here at home for you guys?
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, it's definitely awesome being able to get fans out in the stadium, be loud. It's going to be a good environment.
I was working on something on Rod, just because Rod was committed to Army at one point, and you see him every day in practice. What has his contributions been to this team as you guys have gone through a pretty successful season?
I mean, I feel like he's a key center point of that D-line. I mean, he's a great player. He's physical. He does everything right. I didn't know he was committed to Army. I didn't know that was a thing. He hasn't really brought it up, but that's just kind of the type of player he is. He's very selfless. He's not going to make anything be about him.
Yeah, and another guy I wanted to ask you about is Damon Ward, kind of coming to the end of his time here in a pretty successful career.
Yeah.
You've gotten to know him, in the short time that you've been here. What has stood out about Damon as you've gotten to know him through this time?
I mean, he's definitely a character on and off the field. Like he jokes around a lot, but I mean, he can play receiver very well. I feel like in the locker room we have a good relationship. We joke around a lot. He's really brought me in with me coming in as an older guy, just trying to find like my group, I guess you could say. He's really made it easy on and off the field. He's behind me in the huddle. We always crack jokes at each other. I always talk some trash to him, make sure he's getting out there on the corners. So.
And the coach kind of mentioned you guys kind of getting a lot of people back from injury, especially in that offensive line. Just how does it feel to finally get those pieces kind of back?
No, it's definitely huge. I mean, we definitely have the group that we want and the group that I feel like is going to be the most successful on Saturday. I feel like it's going to help us with protecting Chandler and also getting the run game going early and fast.
Mm-hmm. And then for you personally, I mean, you've also been someone who's been missing some games because of injury. Do you feel like you're on the other side of that now? Does it feel mentally just a little clearer?
Yeah, I'm completely back. I have no aches, pains, nothing like that. I'm ready to go.